Y'all are truly amazing. Hello everyone, it's Jessica. Welcome if you are new to the channel. I know a lot of you found me recently through my last video on how I package my cards for craft shows. So welcome to the community. I'm glad you're here. And welcome back to everyone who's been part of this community for a minute now. For everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for your support on that last video. For everyone who took the time to watch that video or to like it or to leave the comments you left, everyone was so kind and so sweet and so supportive. And there were also a lot of really good tips in that video in the comment section below it as well. I know that last video had a lot of questions in the comments. I went through the comments and I tried to respond to a lot of them, but there were just so many. Honestly, it was a little bit overwhelming, so I'm going to keep responding to them, but I also think that this video might get some questions, so I do plan to make a video where I go through and kind of answer more of y'all's questions in like a dedicated video. Also in the future, probably not anytime soon, but in the future I do want to make a more thought out and planned craft fair prep video, so down the road I'll definitely get on that because I know some of you had questions about that as well. So this video is a continuation of the last one. About an hour after I packaged up those cards, I loaded up my car for the craft show. And after I did that, I was like, people might want to see this too. Like maybe this would be useful for someone. So I pulled out my camera and I started filming. And that is where this video is going to start. And I just want to say, I am not a vlogger, so I apologize for my kind of sad attempt at a vlog. You know, please forgive that in some places I am out of frame or the camera might wobble or the audio isn't the best. I did the best that I could. It was literally just me whipping out my phone and recording the things that I thought might be interesting or helpful for someone. This was also not a planned video, so I am sorry that in some parts it might seem a little bit chaotic. I was just filming things as I thought of sharing them. Also, filming in public can be scary and intimidating, so I did my best to get clips of my booth at the craft show. I think I got a pretty good booth tour, but you're not going to see any interactions between like me and folks who came into my booth because that just felt a little bit too scary. Maybe one day down the road I'll be brave enough for that, but that was not this video. Also, just a quick disclaimer, I am not saying that this is how you have to set up your craft show booth. I'm not even saying that I think this is the best way to set up a booth, because it's not. This is just what I have found works well for me. This has been years of trial and error, kind of looking up different things, trying different things. Some of them worked, some of them did not. And this is just where I've landed at this point in time. I am sure a year from now, my booth setup is going to be a little bit different. And also my setup kind of varies from show to show. In this video, I am taking you along as I do an outdoor craft show. I'm not a huge fan of outdoor craft shows. I usually only do 2 or 3 of them a year. And my indoor setup and outdoor setup are different. I only have one more craft show left this year, and that is also an outdoor show. But I guess the next time I do an indoor show, I'll take you along for that as well, so you can see how I change up my setup a little bit. But you just have to figure out what works well for you and what doesn't. So just think of this video as some inspiration to kind of get your wheels turning about how you might want to set up your craft show booth. And you know, just like with the last video, take the things that work, put your little spin on them to make them unique and to make them you, and leave behind the things that don't. At the end of this video, I do have a kind of chatty little bit and a little story time about a mistake that I made at this craft fair that I thought it would be important to share with you guys. If you want to see that, then be sure to watch until the end. If you don't want to see it, no worries, because I know this is a long video. So I've put timestamps in the description box below the video so you can skip around to the parts that you do or don't want to see. So with all of that being said, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's see how I got ready for my craft show. So it is the night before my craft show, and one of the best tips I can give you is, if you can, pack up the night before, especially if it's an early morning show. So the show tomorrow, load-in starts at 9 o'clock, so I'll probably be getting up at like 6 or 7 to get ready and everything, and then head over. Luckily this show is nearby, so that's nice. But I have, as you can see, I've packed up my car with everything I need for the show so that it's not something that I have to worry about in the morning, and I know literally all the heavy lifting is already done, because I'll have to unload all this once I get to the show anyway, so I don't want to have to do that like back to back in the morning. Now, I guess maybe I'll like kind of show you more closely everything that I have going on in here. We have our tent. This is an outdoor show tomorrow, and I wanted to have a canopy. It's been raining the last few days, so just in case it rains tomorrow, I do have a tent. Some shows will require you to have a tent, some shows won't. This show didn't require it, but I knew I was going to want to bring it, so I have that. I have a whole bunch of bins here. I have 8 bins in total. Some of them you can see here kind of have like different things that I use for my displays, and some of them have my cards and other products. So we have all of those loaded in. I have 2 different tables here, so that I have something to set my stuff on. And then these are some custom displays that I made to show my cards. I'll try to get footage of it in the video tomorrow. I got the idea for this from like a fine artist on YouTube. He had a video showing how he displays his work at craft shows, and I really liked it, so I kind of took it and adjusted it to work for me and my cards. So that's what these are. And then this is the view from a side door. And then I have a chair tomorrow, so I'll be able to sit during the show. This guy is my banner. This is new. I've only had this, I think I've only used this at one show so far. I just purchased this for the first time this year. So this has been really nice to have. And I don't have anything else in the car so far for tonight. Tomorrow I probably will add some stuff like snacks and... So that's what things are looking like for tonight, and I will see you guys at the craft fair when I am setting everything up. Okay, I'm back. It is still the night before, and I just thought I'd share another quick tip with you guys. Ignore the messy background. I am not a morning person by any stretch of the imagination. I hate waking up early, so I do as much prep work the night before a show as I can, so in the morning, like, all I really have to do is wake up, get myself ready, eat breakfast, and I can roll out the door. So because of that, I want to kind of show you, in addition to packing up the car the night before, I also pack up my food. I made my breakfast for tomorrow in advance. These are like 3 ingredient pancakes. So for breakfast I will have these. So this is my lunch for tomorrow. I have a ham and cheese sandwich, some almonds, some grapes. I might grab like a mozzarella stick and like a chomped turkey stick just in case, but I almost never buy food at craft fairs. Most of the craft shows I do, they take place in the first half of the day, in the morning. So usually it's a show that's from like 9 to 3 or 11 to 4, something like that, kind of morning afternoon-ish type hours. And most craft fairs will have like some sort of food vendor that you can buy something to eat at, but I like to pack my own lunch. In general, I'm the type of person to pack my own lunch instead of buying something, because when I go to a craft fair, I'm usually there to try and make money, not necessarily to spend it. Although if I find a vendor who has something really cute or something I've been wanting, I will end up spending money. But I'd rather spend $13 on like a cute pair of earrings than on a burger or something like that. That's just me. You do whatever works for you. But I figured I would just kind of, ooh, I'm bad at this vlogging thing. So I figured I would just go ahead and share that with you, because I'm guessing some of you are like me and that you're night owls and not early birds. The other thing I don't think I mentioned, I picked the items I picked for my lunch because I like to have foods that are easy to eat, so that if my booth is slow for a couple minutes, I can easily just like pop a couple grapes in my mouth or take a bite or 2 of my sandwich or whatever it is, instead of something that might be a little bit harder to eat on the go. So that's just the tip I had, and now I will see you sometime tomorrow for the craft show. Good morning, friends. Okay, so it is about 7:30 in the morning. I'm just doing some like general getting ready stuff, but one of the things is I went ahead and made my breakfast, and it was super easy to make because, like I said, I prepped a bunch of it, the hardest part last night, so this morning was just kind of throwing everything together. So let me show you. So I have my cup of coffee, some turkey sausage, my banana, egg, oat, protein pancakes and a little bit, this is just arugula with a little bit of like lime juice and olive oil because I've been really enjoying that lately. So this is my breakfast. Oh, and some water. It came together really quick. I'm gonna go ahead and eat it and then like get dressed and all get ready kind of stuff for the show, but that's where we're at so far. Okay everyone, so I am at the craft show. It's just at a local neighborhood pool and I have my booth here all set up. So as I can, I'll just kind of take you through it and show you how I set things up and also how I have different items displayed, and hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so since this is an outdoor event, I have a little canopy tent situation and I have it weighed down. I have some weights and then also some sand bags, which it's a very windy day, so I definitely needed that today. So whenever I'm doing an outdoor show and I'm using a tent, I display some of my cards with these panels. These are vinyl lattice panels that I picked up at Lowe's, and then these are J channels here that I also picked up at the same store, and I cut them down and then I have them attached with some zip ties. And I also have some fishing line to keep the cards in place so that when the wind blows they don't fall out, which was super helpful because today has been a super windy day. So it's a good thing I have the weights because otherwise my tent would have blown away. So that is how I display some of my cards. You can see I just kind of have them in there. And I spaced the little J channel shelves wide enough apart so that they could accommodate A2 and 5x7 size cards, as you can see here. Okay, and then I made these little signs. I just made these on my computer, printed them out at home, and laminated them, just so people know who I am and a little reminder to get their cards. So for the cards that don't fit on these panels, I put them in bins. These are I think I showed these bins in another video. I get them at Target. They're just clear bins and I like them because they fit A2 size cards and they also fit 5x7 cards. So I just put all the extra cards in these bins, as you can see here. And I've made little dividers. These are just cut down plastic folders and my label maker, so that people kind of know what is in everything. And then I have these little signs on all the bins. I think in another video I kind of explained how I go through and like price my cards and put them on the back. So I have these bins or these signs that explain that as well. And again, these are signs that I just made using my printer, and I printed them out and laminated them myself. And then I have these little clips that I attach to the bins, which is nice because this makes it windproof. And so I have all these. I don't know if I showed it, but I also have one up here as well. Next, on the next table, I have some card sets here, and I have them just displayed flat. If I was doing an indoor show, I'd have little like shelves that I put them on, but it's windy out here today and they were just falling off the shelves, so I just have them laying flat on the table with a little card telling people the price. I have some hand sanitizer out, and then my mini cards as well. For my mini cards, these little display stands, I'm very fortunate. My dad does woodworking as a hobby, so these are based kind of loosely on a spice rack I saw, and I just wrote up plans for changing up the dimensions, and I was able to get my dad to make these for me, and then I just spray painted them white, since pretty much all of my like branding stuff is yellow and white, so I wanted it to match the theme. And then I just put the mini cards in here, and once again, for extra mini cards, I have them in one of these little containers, which I also purchased from Target, and they have the same little sign display. And then I have some, sorry for the plane. Okay, so for the sets, I have them, again, I'd usually put these on a little shelf, but it's so windy, they just kept falling off. So I have them flat on the table, and I've sold a few, so I Need to adjust these so they look a little, I've actually sold quite a few of these sets today, which is nice. It's a good thing. And then I just have, again, a little sign. Again, this would normally be on a shelf and it has a little stand that this goes in, but since it's windy, I just have them on the table. See, this is what happens when it's windy, and this is why I package everything in sleeves, because it's windy and these flew off the table. And they fell on the ground, but because I have them in the sleeves, they didn't get damaged, which is a wonderful thing. Something else I don't think I pointed out is my banner. This is new. I've only had this this is the second show with it, but I have this little banner, which is nice so people know who I am. And I also have this little table hanging as well. So for my tables, I keep it really simple. I have some white tablecloths. I picked these up on Amazon forever ago. And then I also have this like yellow and white little checkered ruffled tablecloth runner situation. Picked that up on Amazon as well. Same thing for this table. Yeah, nice and simple. Under the table, I store all of my bins, just hidden behind the tablecloths. So my spot today is 2 parking spaces wide, which is really generous. A lot of shows, a standard booth is 10 by 10, which is about the size of this tent. So since it was a larger space, I kind of took advantage of that and spread my display out a little bit so it can have multiple people kind of shopping in here at a time. But I wanted to show you kind of how I have this little corner set up. I have a little chair for myself so I don't have to stand the whole time. I have my little bag of goodies, all my stuff I need for the day. I have a coffee, a water, my little lunchbox. And I also have this little cart situation. I think I picked this up at Target as well. And it's really nice. I have bags, my till in case I need it, some business cards, and then this is just like extra for whatever I need at a show. I'm back because earlier I showed you guys my little till for cash, but I forgot to show you I also have a little square reader. I can also use just my phone itself, but I wanted to show you guys this because I highly encourage you, if you do craft fairs, be able to accept cash and also be able to accept some form of electronic payment. I like Square because it's easy to use and the fees I think are pretty fair. And I know sometimes people only want to accept cash because they don't want to accept the fees that you have to pay for some kind of card reader. It is definitely worth it, you guys, to pay the fees to be able to accept electronic payment. I think probably like 80% of all my sales today they put it on their card. That's a lot of sales I would have missed out on if I only accepted cash. I think I haven't looked at my numbers yet, but I know for sure over $100 in card, and the fees on that are only going to be a couple dollars. I guarantee you it's going to be under $5. I think that's a worth it trade-off, so I again would really encourage you to use some sort of platform where you can scan cards. I'm pretty sure Square is free for you to sign up just to be able to use the card reader. So definitely something to consider if you are doing a craft fair. Okay, now one thing I wanted to say, I know I have a lot of cards and whatnot displayed, and I just want to comment and say, one, those are cards that have been built up over a couple of years. It's not like I made all of these just for this show. I can't make cards that quickly, you guys. But I've made all of these cards, so it makes sense that I, have them out on display for different shows and stuff. Also, some of you might be like, Jessica, we've never seen videos on those cards. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really bad at recording sometimes. I'm trying to be better. I will try to go through and make like project share videos on some of those cards that I haven't shown before, or like when I was showing you guys around, if there was a particular card you saw that you're like, Jessica, give us a project share or tutorial on it. I cannot guarantee a tutorial. It is a busy time of year for me with work and just personal life, but I will try to post some project shares of those cards because like I said, some of them are like cards that I made 2 years ago and I just, for whatever reason, didn't film them and didn't make a tutorial on them. So there probably are a lot of things but that's fine. The other thing is that when I make cards, you guys have seen I batch out cards. So I'm pretty sure I filmed the video where I made all of these cards. So I was able to, you know, get all of this, half of this bin is just these cards. So that was able to bulk up my supply a little. Also, sometimes I will make multiples of a very similar style of card. So I love these style of shaker cards. No, I'm not getting this on camera very well. So I always make these, and because I've made them so many times, I kind of know my formula for batching them. So you'll see I have a lot of shaker cards like that, and that helps me make cards quickly too. All right, so that's the show. It ended up going pretty well today, honestly. This was a small show for me. The show went better than I expected it to, which is always really nice. And I got really lucky. This show, there were some volunteers helping people break down. So it's always nice when you do a show and there are just people around who are willing to help out. So that was really nice. So something else I just wanted to clarify. I know I mentioned it earlier. I had a lot of cards on my table. When I do a show, I am not expecting to sell all my cards. Like I said, they've accumulated over the years. And so I do, you know, leave them out and I do leave them in their bins, but I'm not expecting to sell everything. If I sell a small snippet of what I have, for me, that is a good show. I think I've only ever done one show where afterwards I looked at my cards and I was like, whoa, I need to get creating. And that kind of shocked me. But most shows like this, I don't know. I'll just say I'm not expecting to sell everything I have. Okay. So don't feel like you need to have as much stuff as I had on my table for you to do a show. Because I recognize that I have a lot of stuff on my table. But it's accumulated over time. So please don't feel like you need to have that much stuff in order to sign up for a show or to go do your first show. Other thing I will say, so I had my lunch at the show. There were some food trucks that looked really good, but I was just trying to save money, so I opted not to. Although by the end of the show, there was a lady who had really cute crocheted hoop earrings, and I love me a good hoop earring. That's one thing about me. And they were yellow. They were like a golden yellow, which, like, obviously I love. So I bought those instead. But I would rather spend $20 on a pair of hoop earrings that will bring me joy every time I wear them than $20 on food. That's just me. You might feel completely the other way around. Spend your coin how you want, but that's how I wanted to spend mine today at the show. So there are a couple of things I just wanted to say. The show has ended now at this point. And this part of the video is going to be a little bit chit-chatty, so if you're not interested, you don't have to watch this, but I am going to be chatting about vendor related show stuff. So if you do plan to do shows in the future, you might want to stay for this. These are the earrings I mentioned earlier. Aren't those lovely? So I think this is money well spent for me personally. Now the other thing I want to say is just when you do shows, remember that you're human and it might not go perfect. There might be things out of your control, or you might make a mistake, and that's okay because we're all human. When this show started today, when we were setting up, I didn't film any of the setup because it was windy. Like, it was really windy. There were some people who took down their tents because it was so windy and they didn't have weights that were heavy enough to keep their tents from blowing away. So they took their tents down. I'm very thankful that my sandbags were heavy enough to prevent that from happening to my tent. But some other people, it was looking kind of questionable and sketchy. So they just took their tents down. And that can be really frustrating. So cute. That can be really frustrating when things don't go the way you plan for a show. But also, unfortunately, that's just life sometimes, and you might have to be a little bit flexible because there might be things that change a little bit, or you might be expecting one thing and something else happens, or, you know, like no one can control the weather. You can't control whether it's going to be windy or sunny or hot or rainy or whatever's going on. So try to be prepared and try to be flexible. Bring weights for your tents. Some shows will require you to have weights for your tents, some won't. So it's kind of up to you if they don't require it, but just for safety, I'd recommend that you do it. Also, more in talking about you're human and you make mistakes. At my show today, I made a mistake and I want to share it with you. So maybe if you make a mistake in the future, you don't feel so bad about it. So at my show today, there was a gentleman who came into my booth and he was really sweet. And we were chatting about, you know, the cards and all this stuff. And he picked a card that he really liked. And he, you know, they left. And about maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour later, he came back into my tent to let me know that I had accidentally charged him for an item he did not get. And I felt, oh my gosh, like instant, like my stomach sinks. And like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I apologize. Let me refund you. And I'm like, he paid with his credit card. So I'm like, in my phone looking through Square to find his transaction because I remember the card I sold him. I remember how much it cost. So I'm trying to like find the transaction so I can refund it to him. And he's like, oh no, don't worry, you're fine. You accidentally charged me for a mini card and we were thinking about getting one anyway, so we're just gonna grab a mini card. And I was like, oh, you know, again, I'm so sorry about that. Like, and I'm just apologizing because I messed up. So I'm owning up to my mess up and apologizing. And he was just really kind about how he handled that. And he recognized that it was a mistake and that I genuinely felt bad about it and was sorry for it because I did. And just opted to get the card. Of course, if he wanted it refunded, I would have refunded him the money for that because I made a mistake and ugh. But that's one of my biggest fears is like mischarging people. And I felt really bad about that happening, but he was really sweet and really kind about it. And a lot of people are kind, so if you do make a mistake, just be honest about it, own up to it, do what you need to do to fix it, and hopefully you will find that most people are kind about it, but try not to beat yourself up about it for too long or too much, because at the end of the day, we're all human, none of us are perfect, and we all make mistakes sometimes. Oh, and before he left, he let me know that he followed me on Instagram, so no harm, no foul there. Another interaction I want to share with you, it kind of hits a couple different points about craft shows. It's about my last shopper, or my last customer, I should say, of the day. So I'm going to rewind here just to say that if you've never been a vendor at a craft show before, or you've never gone to a craft show before, then you may not have noticed this, but it's pretty common at different type of vendor events, whether it's a craft fair or an exhibit. Really anything where you have individuals with booths selling products is pretty common that during the last hour or maybe 30 minutes of an event, some vendors will start to break down. And what I mean is like they take down their products, take down their displays, break down their, you know, if they have a canopy or a tent, they'll start to take those down, all that stuff. That's what I mean when I say they break down. And so it's pretty common that during the last hour to 30 minutes of a show, some vendors will start to break down. Now, some shows have it in the contract that if you break down before the end of the event, you will not be allowed back to the event, which sometimes people break down early at an event because it wasn't a good event for them, and they don't ever plan on doing that particular event again. But it's just something to be mindful of. The other thing that I feel like vendors do more often is during that last hour to 30 minutes, they'll start to, it's like a mini breakdown. Like they're not taking down their display, they're not taking down their tents, they're just starting to kind of put things in order so that when it does hit the end time, then it's easier for them to break down. So what I mean by that, let's say you sell soaps and you have 10 different soap scents on your table. And for each soap, maybe you have 7 bars on your table. Well, when it gets to 30 minutes before the end of the show, you might break down so you only have 2 of each different scent on the table. So that when it's the time to leave, it's easier for you to just put those last couple bars away and be ready to go. So it's not like they're breaking the whole thing down. They're just kind of making it a little bit easier for themselves, which I think is a little bit more of a respectful way to do it, especially because once shoppers start to see tents going down and displays being broken down, it's not a pleasant shopping environment, or people who might have wanted to shop that last hour or 30 minutes of the show start to think, oh, it must have ended early, and they might not come in, or they might walk in and just leave because they see everyone breaking down. So in my personal opinion, doing like a full breakdown before an event ends is a little bit, it's a little bit disrespectful to your other vendors. So unless you have like some sort of emergency where you have to leave, I would recommend that you don't do that. Do the mini breakdown, you know, you can start taking some stuff down, but don't fully break everything down so that your booth becomes unshoppable. Now, with that being said, I myself am a little bit superstitious. So growing up, my mom sold different products like Mary Kay and Tupperware. So when I was a teenager, sometimes I'd go with her to her different events when she was vending. And one thing that I have noticed and I've been superstitious about is that sometimes your best sale of the day will come at the very end of the day. So I don't touch anything. I don't break down anything until it hits the official end time for an event. So today's event ended at 3 p.m. and I didn't touch or change my booth or my display in any way until it hit 3 p.m. exactly. And I've seen other crafters on here talk about how maybe they made, I don't know, 20 hot cocoa packets for a craft show and only 3 of them sold. And then in the very end of the event, someone comes through and is like, oh, this is perfect. I need 15 hot cocoa packets for my students or my book club or whatever it is. And they have the best sale of the day at the very end of the day. So sometimes that happens. Or sometimes, honestly, having a booth that's shoppable when everything else is closed will encourage sales in your booth. And that's what happened to me today. By 2:50, some people had started to like actually break up their displays, put all their products in bins. Like there were people who were definitely fully breaking down. And there were 3 customers who came into the market area and they were walking around and you could kind of tell that they were disappointed that the event had already ended. The other 2 people keep walking around, but one of the women walks into my booth and she starts talking to me. And she's saying that they thought the event lasted longer. They had other things to do during the day, so they had just finally gotten a chance to walk over to the market. And they were just kind of sad because they wanted to do some shopping and everyone else had already kind of broken down. There were a couple booths that were still open like mine, but most of them had already started to break down. So this woman and I were talking. She was asking me about my cards. She was asking me about like how I do different things to the cards and all this. And I could tell she wasn't a crafter. I was just explaining it to her. And I really enjoy conversations like that where I get to really talk about what I do and share my joy for what I do with other people. So we were talking about that and she's like pointing to different things and I'm explaining what die cutting is to her and what stamping is and ink blending and all this stuff. And it's just, we're enjoying our conversation together. And she points to a set of note cards I have that I made with like alcohol ink artwork that I made. And I'm talking to her and I'm explaining that to her. And she decides that she wants to purchase that set of cards. A part of me kind of thinks that the only reason she walked into my booth, hopefully because she liked the cards, but also because I was one of the only shoppable booths. Everyone else was closed up. So maybe there were other people there who might have made more sales, but they had already packed up their stuff, so they couldn't anymore. So that's one of the reasons why I'm superstitious and why I leave my booth open until the very end. And I don't even start to do like a mini breakdown or anything like that until time hits. Again, not everyone is like that. And sometimes people start to break down early because parking for an event sometimes can be really hectic if there's not like a dedicated parking space. A lot of times vendors are allowed to come into the site or to park near the site to unload, and then they have to go park far away from the event so that the people who are going to be shopping, all of the customers, can park in the designated parking areas closest to the event, right? So you don't want your customers to have to like work to get to your event. You want it to be easy and convenient for them to drop in and shop with everyone. So sometimes people will break down their booth. You know, if the show ends at 3, they'll have everything broken down by 2:45 so that they can leave and snag a nicer parking spot to unload. And I get it, because at the end of the day, you know, especially if it's a longer event, like if it's been like a 5, 6, 7, 8 hour event. By the end of the day, sometimes you're tired. These events, it does take a lot of energy out of you sometimes, because you wake up early and you have to load up your car, and then you have to unload everything at the site, and then you have to set it up, and then you have to be like on the whole time, which is easy for some people. It's harder for others. I'm a natural introvert, so it doesn't come super naturally to me. So by the end of the day, sometimes you're just tired, or maybe you're just hungry. Maybe you didn't pack enough snacks, or you didn't pack any snacks, or you thought there were going to be food trucks and there weren't, and you didn't pack a lunch. So you've just been sitting there and you've been hungry and you're tired and you're ready to go home, and you don't want to have to fight for a parking space. So I get why some people do break down early, but if I don't have an emergency and I don't need to leave and be out of there quick, I just take my time with breaking everything down. That's just what I do. Friend, you get to choose what you want to do. Yeah, so that's everything. I hope this video was helpful. I hope there's something in here that was useful for you. If there was, as always, please go ahead and like the video. It helps other people find my channel, so we can grow our little crafty community here. If you've ever done a craft show, or if you have a craft show coming up, or if you're just thinking about it, let us know in the comments below. If you have done a craft show before and you have any tips for us, put them down in the comments. Let's help each other out here, guys. And if you haven't done one before, but you're thinking about it, or maybe you've already signed up for one and you're nervous because it's your first one, you're going to do great. You're going to do great. Go out there with your cards. Let everyone see the beauty you create and go rock it, okay? Yes, I know you're going to do great. So you guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see all the upcoming videos, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video real soon. Bye.